On September 9th, 2014, the state of Kuwait was given a high international status as a humanitarian center during an unprecedented ceremony hosted by the previous Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon, in the United Nations headquarters. And as the world collapses into a war zone, humanitarian work is seen as a beacon of hope to those struggling around the world. The state of Kuwait has firmly established itself as a global humanitarian hub, recognized for its continuous humanitarian efforts across the world. Through decades of constant contributions to various humanitarian causes, underpinned by the principles of justice, equality, and the promotion of human rights. This was further solidified by the United Nations recognition of the late Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah as a global humanitarian leader in 2014. The state of Kuwait was and still a significant financial contributor to humanitarian crises, particularly in the Middle East, where it has a major donor to relief efforts in countries like Yemen, Sudan, and Palestine. The state of Kuwait's international recognition came due to the country's continuous efforts to alleviate the suffering of people worldwide. The state's humanitarian aid activities continued to cover several areas locally and globally, and as part of local charities, the Kuwait Red Crescent Society had carried out various campaigns with the aim of benefiting needy families in the country and around the world. One of the most important fields in which the state of Kuwait focuses on is education. The chairman of KRCS, Dr. Hilal Al-Sayer, stressed the increasing needs of families to educate their children, necessitated organizing a fundraiser campaign from Kuwaiti people and residents in order to provide unprivileged children and education that will reflect both on their economic and social empowerments. Such campaigns have been ongoing for over 6 consecutive years. KRCS is one of the effective national societies in the region and the world. It strongly adopts directives of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies and works to achieve goals and principles of the international movement by seeking to support those affected by natural or man-made disasters. Gratitude towards the work of the local charities came from all over as they praised Kuwait's role in providing humanitarian aid to displaced people, adding that Kuwait's Red Crescent Society had forever extended a helping hand to needy people in various countries all over the world in order to improve their living conditions and rehabilitate them to return to their normal lives. Whether it's a global crisis, the beginning of a school year, or the start of the holy month of Ramadan, the state of Kuwait always provided necessary help needed to include people in the ongoing normal lives. Every Ramadan, the Zakat House intensifies its endeavors to provide donations to help individuals both within and outside of the state of Kuwait, where it launches various initiatives aimed at ensuring efficient distribution of aid during this auspicious period. One such initiative is the Mobile Iftar project within the country, where 25 mobile units are deployed across strategic locations, facilitating the distribution of 6,635 meals to the needy daily. Zakat House is committed to serving donors, charities, and the needy, emphasizing its readiness to deliver aid swiftly and efficiently, within a vision focused on modernizing aid distribution methods both locally and globally. Now we have Nasreen Al-Bayhan, representative of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, in the state of Kuwait, sharing with us key notes on the recognition of the state of Kuwait as a humanitarian center, as she delves into the United Nations criteria used to select the state of Kuwait as a humanitarian center, as well as the cooperation between the state of Kuwait and the United Nations in regards to the Palestinian cause.
9th of September of this year, we will mark the 10th year of recognizing Kuwait by the United Nations as a humanitarian center. That recognition came in reflection of Kuwait's critical role to mobilize global support towards refugees in several situations, but starting with the Syria situation, Yemen, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and go on. Now, in the past 10 years, UNHCR and Kuwait partnership has been very steady in different initiatives beyond only financial contribution that reached out to millions of refugees worldwide, but also through different initiatives like Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Kuwait Fund, marking World Refugee Day together with UNHCR, like the annual joint campaigns, winterization campaigns with An-Nouri Foundation, the support from Bayt al-Zakah towards the Gaza situation, recently and just now supporting the Rohingya situation by signing with Tanmiya Foundation. I'm just stating these examples as a reflection to the steady partnership between Kuwait in its private and public sector and UNHCR in supporting beyond regional situations, but also global situations worldwide. Congratulations to Kuwait and to its humanitarian sense and philanthropy, and to the people of Kuwait.
The state of Kuwait has been instrumental in supporting international organizations such as the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, and the International Organization for Migration, IOM, and the World Health Organization, WHO, among others. And to this day, the state of Kuwait has continued its legacy of humanitarian work under the wise leadership of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mish'al al-Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah, may Allah protect and bless him, as he actively engages in diplomatic efforts to resolve regional conflicts and promotes international cooperation between the United Nations and other global platforms. The state of Kuwait plays a significant role in supporting IOM's humanitarian and development programs in crisis-affected countries. The Kuwait Fund for Economic Development was established with the aim to further economic and social progress in developing nations through financial and technical support.
The Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development, or the KFAED, has given multiple grants worth $88.1 million to refugees and displaced people around the world between 2016 and 2022. The KFAED, one of the state of Kuwait's main philanthropic bodies, dedicated substantial grants for cancer patients comprised of refugees and the displaced to provide diverse healthcare and improve living conditions for the people in countries including Syria, Bangladesh, the Kurdistan region of Iraq, and Yemen. The fund's acting director general, Walid al-Bahr, stated that the fund's global humanitarian policy is primarily aimed at providing financial assistance to various sectors, namely infrastructure, healthcare, and education, among others. The KFAED's policy also aims at helping the refugees and people in similar difficult conditions, victims of conflict and disturbances, as well as natural catastrophes. Touching on the policy's basic principles, Al-Bahr has affirmed that the strategy is broader, covering various aspects, such as giving a hand in efforts to restore peace in troubled areas and attaining sustainable economic and social development. Furthermore, Al-Bahr has affirmed that the fund plays an effective role in pushing economic and social progress forward in Arab and developing countries, providing financial and technical support. This is done in coordination with relevant UN agencies and other partners that ensure the delivery of the relief supplies to the targeted people, proving effective in alleviating the hardships. In Lebanon, the KFAED gave $1 million to the Children's Cancer Center of Lebanon, which treats Syrian refugee patients, in 2016. The same year, it provided $9 million for the King Hussein Cancer Foundation and Center in Jordan. In 2017, the KFAED earmarked $1 million to relieve the Rohingya refugees living in squalid conditions in Bangladesh. In 2019, the fund granted $9 million for building schools for Syrian refugees in Lebanon, where in the next year, it granted $14 million to the Kids Cancer Center in Lebanon and $2.4 million for a relief project for the Syrian refugees. Between 2021 and 2022, the fund granted $20 million to the UN agency that cares for Palestinian refugees, the UNRWA, in addition to $2 million for Yemen. Humanitarian aid is part of Kuwait's external policy, and officials have affirmed advocacy of humanitarian diplomacy, Kuwait's exclusive category of diplomacy. The state of Kuwait also urged compliance with the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2720 and the immediate delivery of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, providing $200 million in April to finance vital projects in Gaza through the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development. In further detail, the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development had so far assisted 105 countries while providing 1,020 loans worth 6.8 billion KD, in addition to 334 grants and technical assistance worth 379 million KD. The fund has also helped countries repay their loans with a total of 4.9 billion Kuwaiti dinars.
The State of Kuwait's support and aid initiatives are carried out in cooperation with multiple non-governmental organizations, namely the Kuwait Red Crescent Society. The humanitarian role of the State of Kuwait is highlighted by the unrelentless work of the Kuwaiti associations and charities in delivering aid to the needy all over the globe. Meanwhile, the Social Reform Society signed a grant agreement to provide assistance and supporting secondary and primary healthcare to Syrian refugees in Lebanon, and subsidized primary healthcare consultations for refugees and host communities. With that said, let's hear some insight from Murshid Al-Rashdan, head of the Administrative Support Sector at Al-Nama Charitable Society for Social Reform.
Nama has started in 1972, almost 42 years ago. Their focus at that time was doing and implementing charitable work inside of Kuwait, with a focus on the less fortunate communities living in Kuwait. And as time passed, we have noticed and we have decided 5 or 6 years ago that Nama would also like to start supporting less fortunate communities outside of Kuwait. And based on that, our board of directors have decided to have 70% of our work inside of Kuwait and 30% of our jobs, or our work, would be outside of Kuwait.
And while the global humanitarian overview indicates that there are over 303 million people around the world in need of humanitarian assistance and protection, the State of Kuwait's ongoing efforts have been widely recognized as the United Nations appointed a dedicated office for the coordination of the Humanitarian Affairs (OCHA) in the country.
The world is facing tremendous challenges, and a lot of communities are facing a lot of challenges, especially if we would take it after the post COVID-19. A lot of people, a lot of communities, a lot of less fortunate families have lost their jobs, wars, chaos is in a lot of areas in the world. So charity organizations and Nama, they try as much as they can to support these less fortunate communities that are facing these challenges. As we speak, we have good work, or sizable work in Yemen. We have sizable work in Jordan. Of course, Kuwait, the charity organizations in Kuwait, under the supervision of the Kuwaiti government, are trying to do their best for the less fortunate and our suffering brothers in Gaza, plus the event that has happened in Syria for almost 13 years now. Charity organizations and Nama are always having seasonal projects on the borders of Syria with Jordan, on the borders of Syria with Lebanon, on the borders of Syria with Turkey. So we have the main focus at the moment in Yemen, Jordan, Lebanon and Turkey to help to have some relief efforts for the communities that are facing all these challenges. And I'd like to take the opportunity and thank all the institutes of the government of Kuwait, all the organizations, because no matter what charity organizations would like to do or would like to achieve, if they do not get the support of government organizations, they are very limited with their resources. And with the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know that Kuwait has been nominated 7 years ago to be the center of humanitarian, the leader and the center of humanitarian activities. And Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rest his soul, was nominated to be the leader of humanitarian acts. This has not come from a chance. The United Nations has evaluated the role of Kuwait, and the role of Kuwait is very significant locally and internationally in humanitarian activities. Now, when we talk on the level of charity organizations, when we start working outside of Kuwait, especially when we have relief efforts, when we need to do some projects out of Kuwait, when catastrophes happen, we realize the Ministry of Foreign Affairs interferes to support us with logistics. The Kuwait Air Force helps us with transferring goods and medical requirements, etc. The Ministry of Social Work helps us identify and transfer all the necessary funds to be going through proper channels outside of Kuwait. So with this cooperation between the NGOs in Kuwait and government organizations, we as NGOs are capable of doing and achieving much more effective work than if we would have been doing it alone. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the military and the Ministry of Social Work are doing a tremendous work supporting NGOs inside of Kuwait.
The state of Kuwait's ongoing efforts have been widely recognized as the United Nations appointed a dedicated office for the coordination of the Humanitarian Affairs OCHA in the country. In addition, the appointing of Dr. Abdullah Al-Ma'toug, a Kuwaiti citizen, as the Secretary General's envoy for humanitarian affairs for 4 consecutive years, from 2012 to 2016. After which, Dr. Al-Ma'toug has served as the UN Chief's Advisor for 8 years. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres hailed the role of the State of Kuwait in supporting humanitarian work around the world, as he expressed deep gratitude for the country and His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Mish'al Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, may Allah protect and bless him, for the continuous support for UNHCR, adding that it has become one of the top UNHCR supporters in the past decade. Meanwhile, Kuwaiti ambassador in Washington, Sheikha Az-Zain Al-Sabah, confirmed that states of Kuwait's public and private sectors share strong relations with UNHCR as a part of the country's humanitarian efforts. The state of Kuwait continues to provide aid and medical supplies to those suffering in both the Gaza Strip and Sudan. The state of Kuwait's relief air bridge comes as part of an initiative by the late Emir Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah and is ongoing under the directives of His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Mish'al Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, may Allah protect and bless him.
As the Israeli occupation began its aggression against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, the state of Kuwait launched a humanitarian air bridge to send aid and medical supplies to those suffering in the enclave. This was first announced last year by the Minister of Foreign Affairs at the time, Sheikh Salim Abdullah Sabah, as it was an extension of Kuwait's unwavering position in supporting the Palestinian cause and an attempt to alleviate the suffering brought about by the Israeli occupation. The Kuwaiti air bridge continued on a daily basis, consisting of humanitarian relief plane loads carrying urgent supplies and medical necessities to the Gaza Strip through the Al Arish area in the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. Overseeing the initiatives are Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Defense and Health, as well as the Air Force with Kuwait Red Crescent Society, Kuwait Relief Society, and other humanitarian establishments contributing to the cause. The 42nd Relief Plane for Gaza, considered the latest plane, left the state of Kuwait back in January, carrying 10 tons of medical supplies, blankets, and necessities. The Director of Disaster and Emergency Department at the Kuwait Red Crescent Society, or the KRCS, Yusuf Al-Mi'raj, affirmed that the KRCS assistance to Gaza would continue to help ease the pain of Palestinians being martyred and injured by the ruthless Israeli occupation forces. He added that the Kuwaiti air bridge planes were accompanied by volunteers to deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza through Egypt, adding that the campaign to aid Palestine aims to deliver humanitarian assistance to thousands of people, provide food, medical supplies, and to help families. Al-Mi'raj expressed his gratitude to the Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Defense for their keenness to facilitate the operations and aid entry, while praising the people of Kuwait's response to the campaign, as well as the Egyptian Red Crescent for facilitating the Kuwaiti aid's entry through the Rafah border crossing. Another aid air bridge was recently initiated to help those struggling in war-torn Sudan. The state of Kuwait's 8th relief plane departed to Sudan, carrying on board 33 tons of urgent and critical resources for those affected, as it consisted of 30 tons of food supplies, 3 tons of medical supplies to meet the basic health needs of the displaced, as well as 99 tents for sheltering the displaced people and help those affected by the war and floods. The General Director of Kuwait Relief Society, Abdulaziz Al Ubaid, noted that this aid plane is part of the Kuwaiti air bridge to help Sudan in cooperation with member associations of Kuwait Relief Society Board of Directors, including the Kuwait Charity, Revival of Islamic Heritage, Al Ni'mah Charity, Al Najat Charity, the Sheikh Abdullah Al Nouri Charity, Direct Aid, and others. For his part, the General Director of Al Nouri Charity, Walid Al Saif, assured that the continuation of flights via the Kuwaiti air bridge, in addition to operating naval ships to provide relief to the Sudanese people, will contribute to increasing the chances of the people affected by the natural disasters and conflicts there to stay alive, especially the availability of various basic needs and their delivery in record time. He also appreciated the role of 8 Kuwaiti associations and bodies participating in the Faz'a for Sudan campaign for their contribution, proudly raising the country's name in the field of global humanitarian work. In related matters, Dr. Fahd Al-Dhafiri, Kuwait's ambassador to Sudan, explained that with the help of the Kuwait Relief Society, this batch included hundreds of tents and necessary equipment to aid the thousands of people displaced by the widespread flooding. Al-Dhafiri emphasized that these efforts are in line with the directives of His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Mish'al Al-Ahmed Al-Jabr Al-Sabah, may Allah bless and protect him, reflecting Kuwait's solidarity with the Sudanese people. This air bridge is the second of its kind since the outbreak of the conflict in Sudan back in April of 2023, with the first air bridge including 16 aircrafts and 2 ships dedicated to delivering aid to Sudan. The head of the delegation of the Kuwait Red Crescent Society, Faisal Al-Jarallah, affirmed the continuation of additional aid planes in the near future for those affected by the war, as part of Kuwait's support for our brothers in Sudan. Meanwhile, the acting head of Sudan's Red Crescent Society, Hassan Abu Bakr, expressed appreciation to the state of Kuwait for its support, adding that the Sudanese society would supervise distributing humanitarian aid in the Nile and northern states.
The state of Kuwait's long record of humanitarian aid for the needy has become quite rich due to the unaccountable relief programs and campaigns to relieve people suffering from poverty or entangled in repercussions of catastrophes. Kuwaiti organizations and associations have scrambled for many years to respond to crises and disasters, adding a new concept in diplomatic work, the humanitarian diplomacy. Anwar al-Hasawi, the deputy chairman of the Kuwait Red Crescent Society, affirmed that Kuwait is highly visible on the international map for relief work, given the enormity of the relief campaigns it has launched over many years.
Kuwait Red Crescent Society has established in 1966. Since then, we have helped over 105 countries around the world. We help them, of course, because of the natural disaster like earthquakes or floods, and sometimes because of the war that happens in the country. Kuwait is one of the countries that have good reputation outside as a humanitarian reputation. It is one of the countries that arrive or reach the country, the affected country, maybe second day or third day, and we are always saying that Kuwait is one of the fastest country around the world that goes to the affected areas. Also, the volunteers of Kuwait Red Crescent, we send them directly, second day, third day, to help other nations. And this is why Kuwait has this reputation and about being the center of humanitarian countries. So anything we do here, we have to inform Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who will inform their embassies around the world to help us. Also, we have to inform the Ministry of Welfare and also the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Defense, because we use the airplanes to send, like what's happening now in Sudan, and what happened before, that we use the planes to send our humanitarian things around the world. So we are using this air bridge to take them. So all these four ministers, we have to inform them, and we thank them also for helping us to do our job, because without them we cannot move.
The state of Kuwait had to deal with two major catastrophes that affected Libya and Morocco last years, where as part of Kuwait's relief air bridge for Libya, at least 5 plane loads of supplies had been dispatched to the stricken country. The tons of supplies included masks, beds, wheelchairs, and other medical accessories. Abdullah Al-Treji, chairman of Kuwait Scout Associations, declared that the society, along with Arab counterparts associations, have raised donations to relieve the victims in both Libya and Morocco, with 14 Kuwaiti societies joining hands to assist the quake victims. A conference of international donors in the state of Kuwait pledged over $2 billion in aid to Gaza, as UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The conference, organized by the International Islamic Charitable Organizations and UN Humanitarian Coordination Agency, stated the funds would be dispersed over 2 years, within the possibility of an extension. IICO General Manager Badr Saoud Al-Smait stated that the initiative is designed to mobilize efforts to support life-saving humanitarian interventions in the Gaza Strip and to support the prospects for early recovery for the population. As he detailed, it would be applied on 5 different tracks: life-saving interventions, shelter, health, education, and economic empowerment.
We are sending a lot of medicine, ambulances, food for Gaza, and it goes before the Rafah closed. We send it through Egypt, Al Aris, then it goes by trucks to Rafah. Now they close it, we are sending them through Jordan. And also we send the doctors to Gaza to make operation, of course, before the last invasion there. And in the same place, Yemen, We are sending a lot of things for Yemen because we are making hospitals, schools for poor people, food, medicine. In Yemen, we send them by trucks and sometimes by plane. Also, Sudan, as you know, Sudan lately she had floods, and there is a war situation inside. So we started last week air bridge, and every day there's a plane going there, and we distributed with the Sudani Red Crescent to the people who are affected. Kuwait Red Crescent works with other nations by Red Cross or Red Crescent, because our people go from here to there and they cooperate with the Red Cross or Red Crescent there. And of course we are there to help them. So Somalia also, Rohingya, Afghanistan, we are helping so many countries in the same place. But the main thing now, concentrating in Gaza, Yemen and Sudan. Of course, before we used to help Beirut when the explosion had been, and the earthquake in Turkey, and we are still continuing our help. So the Syrian refugees, since it started until now, we are sending food there, we are sending medicine, equipment for hospitals. So Kuwait Red Crescent Society is working in all these countries, and also anything new, of course, we are ready for it.
As for the Kuwait Red Crescent Society's latest projects, Noor Al-Ka'bi Dialysis Center in northern Gaza commenced as a part of a reconstruction project with the support of KRCS. The center director, Dr. Marwan Al-Sultan, stated that the center completely stopped operation after it was destroyed by the Israeli occupation, adding that reoperation is imperative to save lives of thousands of kidney failure patients in the Gaza Strip. Dr. Al-Sultan extended his thanks and appreciation for the state of Kuwait, its leadership and people for their role in easing suffering and providing humanitarian aid. More than 180 patients north of the Strip suffer from kidney failure and are in need of dialysis 3 times a week, not only to mention more than 1,000 patients of kidney failure in the entirety of the Strip. Palestinian health authorities reported that patients of kidney failure in Gaza Strip are suffering from dire circumstances due to the destruction of 5 out of 7 dialysis centers and the sharp decline in medication and medical necessities. Recently, a team of doctors from the Kuwait Red Crescent Society had performed critical surgeries at Kuwait Specialized Hospital and Gaza European Hospital. Anesthesia consultant Dr. Mohammed Shamsa stated the medical team managed to save 1 Palestinian's life injured by an Israeli occupation raid in Khan Yunis. Dr. Shamsa added that orthopedic surgeon consultant Dr. Hussein Al-Quayyan and surgery consultant Dr. Mohammed Haidar succeeded in saving the life of an injured man upon his arrival to the Gaza European Hospital. Meanwhile, urology consultant Dr. Faisal Al-Hajri stated more than 50 patients have been waiting for a long time to be treated in light of the lack of medical capabilities in hospitals due to the ongoing genocide in the Strip. He stressed that there is a significant shortage of medical personnel and supplies and called for support to Gaza's health systems. We all have seen videos of the atrocities committed against our brothers and sisters in Gaza as they lose their lives daily in their fight against the Israeli occupation forces. But some people have seen it firsthand. Let's hear it from Dr. Faisal Al-Hajri, consultant urology, who has been a part of the medical team sent to Gaza to conduct various operations and provide treatment to the Palestinians, as he shed some light on the suffering he had witnessed in the Gaza Strip.
The Kuwaiti medical team that have been sent to Gaza, first of all, I would like to thank the Kuwait Red Crescent for giving me this chance to be with them in this mission. Our rules or our aim from this mission was, and the main aim was, to give a message to those brave and heroes living inside Gaza, that as a Kuwaitis, doctors, and I think also the nation of Kuwait here, we are not only behind you, supporting you, we are side to side with you. So this mission was based on, first of all, to address the need and the lack of food, medical, either supplement or medical suppliers or treatments, and to have a look over the injured patient. We try to give some help to those hospitals inside Gaza, give some our humble experience in treating a patient being suffered from the war, and even those patients waiting for in a long queue for some treatment.
The state of Kuwait will always stand in solidarity with those in need, as it reiterates its unwavering and ongoing support for the people struggling worldwide, especially those in war-torn countries.
An example, surgeries that we did inside Gaza in their hospitals. Our team was made of 4 doctors. Dr. Hussein Guian, he's an orthopedic. Dr. Mohammed Jamal, general surgeon and hepatobiliary surgeon. Dr. Mohammed Shamsa, which is anesthesia, and me, Dr. Faisal Hajri, a urologist. So we distributed among the hospitals. Actually, Dr. Guian and Dr. Mohammed Jamal and Mohammed Shamsa, they based on one hospital, which is the European hospital, and I've been sent to Kuwait hospital. So during the time I was there in Kuwait hospital, I had the chance and I've been honored to see a lot of patients waiting for some help and some advice, medical advice. I did certain surgeries. One of them, which one it's considered complicated surgery, that reconstructive surgery of urethra. According to colleagues over there, they never saw this surgery before, and they were blessed to learn because I tried to teach them and involve them with me in the same surgery. Old lady, on the way when I was going to leave Gaza, the lady was on the bus, on the same bus that we took all the way from inside Gaza to the other side, Egypt. And she was crying. She was crying. I cannot forget her face when she cried. The lady, I think, or I didn't ask her because I don't want to be, but she had small kids, and because of the situation, she decided to take them all out. And she was crying all the time in the bus and even in the other side. At the end, I would like to thank you for having me in this TV interview, and I hope I could transfer some of the view that I have seen during my mission in Gaza.